At this phase of your life right now, are you planning on doing anything else with wrestling? You know, are you still involved? Are you actively involved? And if yes, in what capacity are you?
Well, I guess last year and a half ago, I signed a 5-year deal.
I saw that.
With the WWE, and it's not a Legends deal. There's a lot more to it than that. But we've got a ton of projects, documentary stuff and movie stuff. And
is a movie for you? Weren't you supposed? Wait, I thought I saw a movie that was supposed to come out with Chris Hemsworth,
right,
starring you, and the director was the director of a recent movie that just came out, Joker,
Phillips,
I want to say, or Top Gun, right? That guy.
Yeah.
What happened with it? There was a Netflix deal or something that happened with it?
They kind of like missed a beat in the contract, you know?
So Netflix screwed up.
Oh, yeah. There was a payment that wasn't placed at the right time. The script was amazing. Actually, Scott Silver, who wrote the script, did the Joker stuff, Wolf of Wall Street, a bunch of other movies. He said, this is the best thing I've ever written. And when I read it, I went, oh my God, this is really good. And at the time, I was in a space where I told him the positive stuff about wrestling and the negative stuff about wrestling. Spent about 3 years with this writer going back and forth. And when I read it, it was just very, very dark. If that would be the right word, but it was really probably what the public may want to see, you know, and I just, when I read it, I went, oh my gosh, if this thing comes out, you know, there was talk that, you know, Chris Hemsworth had never played a real person before, and he could probably win an Oscar. This thing's so powerful, very powerful. And I said, oh, that's great. Everybody's going to do really great, but then I'm going to be left here, cheese stands alone. And that might be the last thing people remember me for. So I just was moving forward at the time. And when they, business-wise, missed a date, there was an option for me to pull out, and I did.
Oh, so you didn't want it to happen.
I pulled out, yeah.
Oh, so if you do it, you won't do it with that same script because it's too dark.
Well, no, I would do it with the same script. But then there's also a documentary to a check and balance system. There's also a 4-hour block of TV like the OJ stuff. To tell the real story, a check and balance system. This had no check and balance system. But what it did do was it took me right up to the time I turned bad guy. And if this, until I turned to Hollywood Hogan and went to the WCW. So if this movie did blow through the roof like they expected it would, then there would be another one, which would be really cool.
Did you watch Trump's new movie that came out, The Apprentice? Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, yeah, it was by this director. It was a $17 million budget. It did $1.6 million opening weekend. It was supposed to be a hit piece, but it was a big flop that they had. At this point, when the story is, especially for you, when they want to make a movie, how do you manage it? If they want to tell a part of the story that you don't want to be told, you can't manage anything with that, right? Unless if you're producing it. Because I know Ben Affleck and I think Matt Damon, they're trying to do something as well. I don't know if it's a movie or a documentary that Ben is supposed to play you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you're not involved in that at all?
No, not at all.
I got it.
At all. No, they would probably fall under the same demise that Gawker did if they did that. I don't know where they're at with it, but wish them the best of luck. That's just an old story anyway, but who knows? I'm not really sure, other than, you know, reasonable creative input is not the same as creative control.
Reasonable input is not the same
creative input. Is not the same as creative control.
Which would you prefer? Creative control?
Creative control.
I got it. Who's going to give that up, though, right?
Depends on how bad they want the movie. And I would be very fair, but there has to be a balance. It can't be just lopsided. Evil,
right.
evil wrestling.
And by the way, do you have control? Like, if somebody wanted to write it and produce it without your permission, can they do that or no?
They can do it, but they, you know, any type of life story rights and stuff, you know, they could be in a really bad position legally if they, you know, don't have me involved. So, I mean, there's so many hills and valleys when you do something without someone's permission.
Is there any documentaries on you or any movies yet on you?
I think A&E did a documentary on me. He'll know. There's been so much stuff. I've done so much stuff on TV, you know, and done so many of these things. I really get confused. Is he pulling it up?
The Trials of Free Press? What is that?
I don't think this is about Hulk per se. I think this is more about the Gawker lawsuit.
Oh yeah.
No, what I'm asking about, I'm asking about like an actual, like, you know, like the Vince McMahon documentary or The Last Dance with Michael Jordan or The Captain with Derek Jeter. Has something like that been done on you or not yet?
No, I have to start actually this month, November, sitting down with writers for a documentary that they're doing like they did with Vince.
I think that would blow up.
Well, we're gonna find out.
Oh, well, listen, I mean, I don't know if you're seeing how this thing is performing. You know, normally I'll know if a doc or a show or something is doing well, is when, you know how when you got 20, 30, 40 people tell you, go watch this, go read this, go see this. And then when influencers are texting you, you have to watch, it's like, okay, there's something going on with this. This documentary that they did on Vince was very unique.
Yeah.
I thought it was phenomenal. It gave you the perspective of realizing nobody walks on water, the POV and the vision of a, you know, visionary, how they look at the world in a different way, getting all of you guys in there to tell your own stories. Like, I had a great experience. I had this, I had that. Even the scene with Bret Hart saying, you know, when the cops called me that I trusted him, and they said, Bret, I know you don't want to hear this, and you want to think that he was involved. He was not involved. This was not intentional. This was a mistake. Like, these are all moments that...
What part was that?
Part where Bret Hart said when Owen fell and the strap didn't protect him and he died, he says, you know, Vince did this. He would do something like this. And in the documentary, a cop or one of the guys calls him and says, Bret, I know you don't want to hear this, but Vince had nothing to do with it. This was a pure accident. It was done so well. So if somebody does the doc on you and they do it well, you need controversy. If it's a boring story, you don't have controversy, no one's going to see it. And you got plenty, you know, you can go back and, like you said, the 2 runs, there's plenty of stories. That will make for one hell of a documentary.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I can't wait to watch. You're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this, but the last 13 and a half years, I've been working on my first fiction book to write, ever. Fiction book to write. And while I finished this book, a year ago, I got the strangest phone call about one of the characters in the book where the guy wanted to meet with me and he read the book. And afterwards is like, wait a minute, am I the villain in the book? This is a story about a character named Asher, who is half Armenian, half Assyrian, whose father was involved in the Iranian Revolution, linked to Savak, working with the Shah, that they escape and he gets recruited to a secret society. When you go to the secret society, it's been around for a couple thousand years. They've developed some of the craziest leaders of all time. And they test you. There's unique tests that they have at this society where they test to see your emotional mental toughness. One of the tests that they have is very rigorous. It's purely mental. Of course, there's a physical one, but one is mental and emotional. If you're Armenian, if you're Syrian, if you're Persian, this is a book you're going to be reading and saying, holy moly, this is the kind of stuff you talk about in here? Yes. If you're somebody that's fascinated by history, this is a book for you. Characters. There's a technology that this society, secret society, builds where you go into a vault. I won't spoil it for you. When you go down, they have a technology where you get to sit down and watch and have a 3-4 hour conversation with Tupac. You can set up a debate between Karl Marx and Ayn Rand. Karl Marx is in the book, who wrote Communist Manifesto. Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged, is in the book. Marilyn Monroe explains the concept of seduction and sex in the book. When you read the book, it's about development of the next leaders in the world and how they do it and how they've been doing it for many years. And it's also about how to prevent the end of civilization and how this organization goes about doing it. So, I've never written a parenting book before, but if I ever wrote a parenting book, this is the closest thing to it because it's all mindset, a lot of crazy stories. Again, 13 and a half years. Trust me, I told myself I will not publish this book until I sell my insurance company and I'm fully disconnected from it, where it's no longer my responsibility 100%. When you read this, if you're a creative person, if you like fiction books, if you enjoyed Atlas Shrugged, or if you enjoy Divergent, if you like books like that, I think you're going to enjoy reading this book. It's the creative side. Business books is very easy. Here's how you do it. Here's how this how it works. This is very creative. If you haven't placed the order yet, now you can order it on Simon & Schuster, Amazon. I'm going to put the link up below somewhere here, maybe even in my profile. Go order the book and read it. I've never written a book where I can't wait to read your reviews to see what you think about this book. So I'm going on this wild journey and we have some plans with this book here.
If you support the things that I work on, I would appreciate you going to reading the book, order the book on Amazon, and then post a review.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.